For the government's view on the key issues and policies mainly raised at the weekend by Labor, but we'll get to some other issues as well. I'm joined now by Paul Fletcher, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for Communications. Paul Fletcher, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Helen. Good to be with you.
One of the key issues that the ALP decided on the weekend was about boat turnbacks, to adopt, essentially it's the same system as yours, the same policy as the government. Why do you think they wouldn't back themselves and do that, enact that, if they were sitting around the cabinet table?
What we saw over the period of the Gillard-Rudd government was a complete failure of border protection. 50,000 illegal arrivals, 800 boats, 1,200 people tragically drowned at sea. This was from a Labor Party that went to the 2007 election saying that they would implement turnbacks, and this was following the very effective management by the Howard government going back to 2001, so that by the time the Howard government left office, there were, for example, hardly any children left in detention, there were hardly any people left in detention, and the issue had been, through very hard work, managed in a way that protected Australia's borders and made it clear to the people smugglers that the Australian people were not going to be taken for mugs, essentially. Labor then completely abandoned all of that, and we then returned to government in 2013, worked very hard to establish that we were once again going to defend Australia's borders in the face of considerable and sustained criticism from Labor, from Bill Shorten and many other senior Labor figures. What we now saw over the weekend was apparently because Mr Shorten is able to scrape through his own conference and get a bare majority in support of the policy that he now says he passionately supports, that the Australian people should somehow have confidence in the Labor Party to better manage border protection in Australia than the Coalition. Well, I don't think it washes, and the important point, the critical point to remember is this, that we're talking about ruthless criminal people smuggling syndicates. The moment they saw weakness under the previous government, the moment they saw the Gillard-Rudd government blink, they exploited that ruthlessly, and they will do the same if Labor comes to government.
All right, but shouldn't you be taking it as a compliment, in essence? It is mirroring your policy. We've heard Richard Marles in the last few weeks, months, virtually saying that your boat turn-back policy has essentially worked. That's a compliment to you. Well, and he's saying they've now got it through conference, that it is part of the Labor platform, that they will do it.
The fact that there's a recognition of the evidence in front of us, that the fact that there's an acknowledgement that yes, this has worked in staring down the people smuggling gangs. I mean, well done on saying the right thing, but can they actually deliver? Can they do it? And the issue is that the Coalition has a proven track record, not in one government but in two governments. If Labor comes to government at the next election, every Australian will know that a very large majority of senior Labor figures are passionately opposed to the policy that Bill Shorten now says that he will take to the next election. But even more importantly, the criminals who run people smuggling gangs will know that there is, at the most senior levels of the Labor government, bear in mind that Tanya Plibersek would be a foreign minister presumably in that government, there is a distinct lack of commitment to that very policy. And you can expect, and we saw this during the Gillard-Rudd years, you can expect that those criminal people smuggling gangs will once again be testing the resolve of the Australian government.
Labor has adopted, or is saying it wants to pursue, it's going to pursue an ETS. This was pretty treacherous territory for them over the past Gillard-Rudd years, as you point out on the other issue. Are you confident Tony Abbott can destroy that policy again?
Look, it's not a question of destroying policy, it's a question of...
Well, that's what he effectively did last time.
What is the most cost-effective and rational way to achieve the bipartisan political objective of reducing carbon emissions? So we have a policy of reducing carbon emissions to be 5% below the 2000 levels, so about 550 million tonnes emitted in 2000. We need to get that down to about 525 million tonnes, down from the business as usual, which would have us at about 650, 670 million tonnes. So that is the Coalition's policy commitment. The direct action policy is the most cost-effective way to manage that, and we're rolling that policy out. We're implementing that policy after having...
All right, well, Tony Abbott has talked about his warning of a potential $60 billion cost for this Labor policy. Now, isn't that a flawed figure because it's based on on the renewable energy target, based on mandated 50% target? Well, Bill Shorten says it's not going to be mandated. It's a target. It's an aim. So Tony Abbott's warning is a flawed figure, isn't it?
Well, I don't accept that for a second. In fact, if you look at some of the numbers that were being put out by reputable modelling, economic modelling firms like ACEL, Allen and Frontier Economics, they're talking about the fact that to achieve that 50% target, you'd need to have 92,000 gigawatt hours of generating capacity. Now, bear in mind, we've just had a very fierce debate over the current renewable energy target. The legislation we inherited from Labor said 41,000 gigawatt hours. We were determined to wind that back because all the advice we were getting was it was simply almost unachievable to get that additional amount of capacity into the system. We struck a compromise with the Labor Party on 33,000 gigawatt hours. Just a few weeks later, here they are suddenly rushing into a commitment to 50% RET, which equates to 92,000 gigawatt hours, according to reputable commentators last week. So a massive increase, a massive reduction in certainty for business, and the capital cost of all of that additional generating capacity would certainly be $60 billion or more on many reputable estimates. And here's the important point. Because it's renewable energy, it doesn't address the base load power need. So not only do you have to put all that money into this new capacity, you also have to leave in place your existing gas or coal facilities.
It eventually phases some of those out.
The base load capacity. Whether we like it or not, that is the reality. You must have the conventional energy to deliver the base load.
Do you appreciate, though, on another point, I guess a wider point, that perhaps the electorate is moving on? They see the rest of the world perhaps doing more than we're doing. We've pulled back. Do you think the electorate has moved on and perhaps you will be left behind?
No, but Helen, let's be clear. The issue is not do we have in the coalition government a policy to support and give effect to the objective of reducing carbon emissions? Yes, we do. That's why we have the direct action policy, and of course later this year we'll be determining our target to take to the Paris discussions later in the year. The question is, what's the most cost-effective and rational policy tool to achieve that? Now, a sweeping judgment to say, let's have 50%, that sounds like a lovely number. Let's throw that up for the ALP conference to disguise from, to relieve political pressure on some other issues from the left of the Labor Party. Mr Shorten is managing his policy positions to achieve his short-term political objectives and to deal with internal factional pressures within the Labor Party. It's about time we dealt with these serious policy issues in the national interest.
I do want to get on to another couple of issues, and we are going to run out of time. Marriage equality, Labor is sticking with conscience vote for the next term and then increasing it, a conscience vote for the term after this one. Doesn't that increase the pressure on Tony Abbott to allow a conscience vote on your side of politics?
Well, I don't think so, but I think really the starting point is...
So he just ignores...
Where are we in process terms? So at the moment, there's a private member's bill which has been moved by Bill Shorten. Now, as Tony Abbott himself has said, any bill on this matter would need to be one that was owned by the Parliament, not one that was owned by one side of politics. And so the next question becomes, well, should there be a bill that meets that test, and we don't have one at the moment, then the question becomes, how does that fit in with the normal press of parliamentary business?
Do you think there should be a conscience vote on your side of politics on marriage equality?
Look, I'd be relaxed about a conscience vote.
And would you support marriage equality?
I'd be relaxed about a conscience vote, and what I've said, should there be a free vote, should there be a free vote, and that'll be a decision for the parliamentary party. We've consistently said that'll be a decision for the party room. The first question, though, is there a bill before the party room that is to be debated in the Parliament?
All right. I just want to ask you one more question. I am being told I'm going to run out of time. Turning to your side of politics, the trouble that the Speaker, Bronwyn Bishop, has been in about she's already on probation about the fancy helicopter ride to a party fundraiser. She's refusing to pay back money on the trip to Sophie Mirabella's wedding. Travel expenses that Tony Abbott himself paid back his expenses more than a year ago, and he urged colleagues to follow the same example. Should the Speaker do the same?
Well, I certainly think the Speaker has done the right thing in relation to the helicopter trip, deciding that she felt she ought to pay for that out of her own pocket.
So it was wrong to do it in the first place,
Well,
to claim the entitlements?
these are judgments. These are judgments for parliamentarians to make in terms of the application of the entitlements.
All right, not paying back the expenses to a colleague's wedding. Does that pass the sniff test?
Well, look, I'm not going to get into debating the rights and wrongs of that. That's a judgment for Bronwyn Bishop to make. All of us as parliamentarians have a set of entitlements which apply. These travel entitlements are to be used in the discharge of parliamentary and electorate business. We all have to make judgments. If we get it wrong, Tony Abbott and the coalition government has imposed tougher controls than ever been there before, including a requirement to pay a 25% penalty.
So you're completely happy with her behaviour and her actions?
Well, I think Bronwyn Bishop is in a position to make her own judgments about that. I'm not going to be making a judgment about that. She knows the facts better than me. But these are judgments that all parliamentarians need to make, and understandably the Australian people expect us to use their money prudently and in the discharge of our functions, but not for personal activities.
All right, Paul Fletcher, we will have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And next, our heavy-duty panel, Nicholas Rees and Helen Coonan joins us. Stay with us.